and welcome all to another episode of Peak TV. Have the pleasure today of having Matthew Painter from Kalgoorlie Gold join us. Matt, thanks for attending.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me on board, Lewis.
Looking forward to delving into the exciting prospects. Before we do so, just quickly disclose that Kalgoorlie Gold is a portfolio position of Peak Asset Management. We invested after we assisted the company with their capital raising endeavours more recently. Matt, now obviously well funded, but the company has just completed its third consecutive drill program a few weeks ago with assays still pending to come out. Tell us about the strategy and the success that it's yielded so far.
Well, look, it's actually giving us quite a lot of success already there, Lewis. And look, I can tell you that we are mobilising our fourth program today. So we're clearly happy with what we're seeing out there. This program that we're actually starting today is the third since the recent fundraising. So we're getting on with the job. That third program that you were talking about, that we finished that a few weeks ago. The samples are all in the labs, and we're waiting for those to come through. So we're anticipating seeing some results very soon. Look, from what we can see, Kalgold is certainly one of the most active junior explorers on the ASX, and part of the reason for this is that we know we're in absolute prime country. Some people might call it elephant country. And we've got a really good chance of making significant discoveries. And the right time to do it right now. We've got a tried and true systematic exploration methodology, and it's already yielding results for us. So what we do is we generate a bunch of targets in an area that is largely undercover. We use first pass air core drilling, and it's relatively inexpensive. But it only has limited depth potential. So we're using it to test broad target areas that often consist of numerous individual targets. And what we're aiming to do with that first pass program is to clip the top of any deposit that might be there. So we follow up with deeper RC drilling later on that can penetrate deeper into the crust and is far more powerful form of drilling. Once we've confirmed that we've got something there via the RC, we'll then follow up with more extensive RC to define the full extent, the grade, the style of gold mineralization, and move as quickly forward as we possibly can towards a resource. We've got several RC targets lined up that are ready to go. So we've got Wessex there, where we had the Echo program recently, and we had things like 28 metres at 1.27 grams per tonne from only 36 metres. And the key with this is that we're only about a kilometre away from the historic Anglo-Saxon gold mine, which is just off our tenure. But we're finding these nice, thick, shallow intercepts right next door. So it's part of a larger mineralising system, if you will.
Matt, you're always talking about the structures and how exciting they are, especially for the tenure that you've been able to ascertain for the company.
Yep.
Given your expertise and your doctorate in structural geology, tell us about what's the mineralization potential of these structure and what kind of deposits are nearby that you would draw reference to.
Yeah, well, look, this area isn't something we've just sort of lucked onto and we've started exploring. We identified this area about 5 years ago with a concept of finding an overlooked large gold deposit under thin cover in one of the underexplored part of one of Australia's greatest gold fields. And we've specifically targeted this region for quite a number of reasons. And one is we're on a 250 kilometre long gold mineralising structure known as the Leven tectonic zone, and that hosts numerous plus 5 million ounce deposits, including the Sunrise Dam deposit, Wallaby, Granny Smith to the north, and more recent exploration near to us in the south has discovered the 1.5 million ounce Rebecca deposit. So, and they're expecting, Ramelius Resources there is currently assessing this for mining, and resources they're expected to grow. Another feature that is important for us is the lack of historic effective exploration in the area. It's relatively non-existent, which is quite incredible, and one of the things that really attracted us to the area. Another is that much of the area is undercover, and it means that the mineralisation is only under a few metres of transported sand or mud, for example, and it could have been missed by the old-timers. And we as Australians, we excel at exploring undercover. It's something we've exported to the world. And so we're using these proven best practice techniques to see what's down there. And importantly, where we are, we're within transporting distance of mills. So, it's one thing to find a gold deposit. It's another thing to be able to process it. And we're not far from Carosue Dam. And if Ramelius goes ahead with Rebecca, we're only 20 kilometres from there or so. And there's another really important feature that we've recognised that I don't think is widely recognised, and that's the Leven tectonic zone itself. All the plus 5 million ounce deposits within a wide north-south trending part of the LTZ in the north. Where the Leven tectonic zone becomes thinner, it trends northwest, there's smaller deposits, and then where we are in the south, from Pingen southwards, we're again in a northwest trending zone where it widens right out, and this just hasn't been explored properly. Are there big deposits to be found here? We think so. So, in a nutshell, if there's a monster gold deposit hiding undercover on our ground, our systematic approach is going to find it.
Brilliant, and certainly beneficial to have options when it comes to your commercialisation strategy.
Absolutely, it's definitely key.
Yeah, and I know we touched on earlier, but what can the market expect by way of news and activity that's coming over the next, call it, 4 to 12 weeks?
Yeah, we've got quite a bit going on, actually, Lewis. So, look, it's one of the more prospective areas of Australia, really, and that's why we're going really hard on our exploration programs here. So, as you mentioned earlier, we've got the third air core program. The results are coming through for that soon, we hope. Clearly, we've got the results of the fourth air core program that's starting up right about now. We're not really targeting high-grade sugar hits with this. Rather, what we're looking for is indicators of possible gold mineralization in the subsurface. So this could be coherent gold anomalism from as low as 0.04 grams per tonne, for example. It could be arsenic or antimony anomalism that's commonly associated with the gold, and it could be unusual geological textures and features as well. And it could be a combination of all these things plus others. However, even though we aren't specifically chasing high-grade mineralization, we're in the right neighbourhood to find it. And so there's a very good chance that we could latch on to a high-grade intercept. And it could happen at any time, and it would certainly be a huge plus for the company if we were to do so. Early in the new year, we'll be expecting to get started on the RC drilling, and we're aiming to complete our farming on the area as well and complete the milestones for that, which is due by the end of May, but we're anticipating that we're going to complete that a bit earlier. So lots coming up.
And from an investor's perspective, Matt, last question, why should they buy Cal now? I mean, what's the value proposition here?
Well, look, I'm struggling to see too many downsides with us. So with our more recent raising, we've collected a bit of interest from a number of instos. One of them's Regal. And even though we're a relatively small company for them, I think they seem to recognise that we offer significant upside, particularly in the current environment. So we've got a market cap of only about $5.6 million. But with global uncertainty at the moment on a number of fronts and recent events like the US elections that have inflationary implications, and I think your Niv Dagan pointed that out very recently on one of his videos. Many commentators are talking about a bull run on gold in the foreseeable future, and clearly a significant gold discovery by Cal Gold could be transformative for us. We've got outcropping gold resources just outside of Kalgoorlie. We're discussing with various groups on how best to move forward here, and that could include shallow mining or mining contracting, for example. We're finding similar shallow resources at Pingen, only under 3 metres of cover at Kalgoorlie Gift and Providence deposits. We're looking for potential easy mining and for milling, and that could go to Carasue or perhaps Ramili's Rebecca project if that's approved. Just as a side note too, those two resources we defined for under $5 an ounce, Aussie $5 an ounce. I haven't seen anybody do better than that. It's quite incredible. So we're aiming to discover more shallow resources at Pingen, perhaps several of these. It gives us a straightforward way to monetising should we choose to do so. But maybe some of these will have legs and they'll go deeper, and it's something we can follow up on. So, look, in summary, I guess we're a low market cap gold explorer with existing JORC resources. There's top-notch credentials in one of the best gold regions on Earth. We're rapidly testing one of the region's major gold mineralising structures for large gold deposits at a time when the consensus outlook for gold is very, very strong. There's not too many downsides.
And with your own skin in the game to support that very message. ASX ticker KAL, certainly worthwhile putting on your watch list. Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Lewis. Really appreciate it.